All right, beauty lighting is difficult. It's a challenge, and there's a couple reasons for it. One is there's a lot of skin that has to be lit perfectly, and not everyone's skin is perfect. And so beauty lighting is probably one of the hardest lightings to master. But what I learned is that as I began to start shooting beauty fashion, it pushed the skill level that I was, that I had in my lighting to a whole new level, because I had to really be particular about my light and how it strikes the face. The first thing that I sort of began to experiment with beauty was with a beauty dish. Now, I bought this beauty dish, and it's a 22-inch. It has this little pan on the front, so your strobe sits in the back. It hits that little pan reflector, and it bounces around and spills around the outside of the beauty dish. For the most part, I use a diffusion sock over the top of it. And I bought this beauty dish, and I brought it into the studio, and I didn't have a clue how to use it. And so I actually hung it on a hook for over 2 years. And then one day, when I did that first edgy 3-light approach that I'm going to show you in one of the episodes, I actually pulled that beauty dish out, and I began to play with it a little bit. And then eventually I brought it into a beauty scenario. And at first I didn't understand where to position it. And so what I'm going to show you is starting with this beauty dish, which is only 22 inches. If you have that beauty dish really close, it produces an absolutely beautiful, stunning light. All right, so we have Kate with this headdress on, and what I want to do is show you how I kind of use a beauty dish. And the most important thing to really understand about a beauty dish is that controlling the shadow that is created, because everyone has a socket, eye sockets, a nose that creates a shadow, lips, and a chin. And so as you raise the beauty dish up, the definition or the shadow is going to elongate, will increase. And so because everyone's face is different, you can't say there's a formula that you have to have the beauty dish at a certain angle, because there are some models that really have deep sockets and some that don't. So it really is, when I bring a model in or a subject in, and I begin to look at the back of my monitor, the first thing I look for is where are those shadows showing up. If they're too deep, I have to lower my source. If I know that they don't have a really deep eye socket, I'll probably raise it up a little bit so that I get a little definition under the eyes sockets, the nose, the lips, and the chin. So that's the key to that. So when Kate showed up, she makes headdresses. That's kind of her side little thing. She's an artist, and so she showed up with all these wild headdresses. And so we did this shoot. I had her up against the flat, and we just had her lean up against it. Took the beauty dish about 1.5 feet away from her, and then I raised it accordingly to get the shadows in position. And of course the headdress was there. So it's really simple. So I want to start out, because we're going to cover other overhead light scenarios with bigger modifiers. We're going to go to 5 foot, we're going to go to 7 foot. And so I want to start with the 22-inch, because once you sort of get the sense of a 22-inch and how it works, or a smaller modifier, then it gives you kind of an idea where to go with the bigger ones. All right, so we're going to do the beauty dish scenario, and we have our beautiful model, Jessica Mion, with us. And I've shot Jessica a lot, and she really has an amazing face, and it works great for a lot of the sort of beauty scenarios that I've done in the past. So what I want to do is I want to show you it's a one-light approach with the beauty dish. We have Jessica up against a gray wall. You can do this, I've done this with like colored, paper up against the wall, so you can tack a seamless, say red or yellow or blue up against the wall. What I like a wall for, instead of just having a sweep, is that the model can kind of lean, and for some reason, for me, it kind of gives more options, so they can kind of feel a little more comfortable pushing against the wall. And this beauty dish will give a natural vignette around the model, and it also really hollows the cheek out. So if I have, for example, a bigger modifier this close, it's going to be a little softer but it won't give as much of the hollowness right here. So we're gonna take a look at that and kind of show, we're gonna do some full length, well, not quite maybe full length, but we'll do a variation of really tight, backed up a little bit, and then maybe 3/4. So let's start with tight here. And what I normally do is I typically start out by putting the beauty dish, it's on a boom, which so it's countered off so I can get underneath it. And I usually put the beauty dish just about on the lens. So let's go here, and we're going to zoom in a little bit here. We're going to do more or less a tight headshot here. Let's do this. For it, I'm going to raise it up a little bit because I don't want to be like sort of looking up at you. So let's go a little more straight on here. Right there, make sure I'm focused. All right, so the first thing I noticed is that we've got a little bit of a shadow under her nose, her lips, and her chin. About what I would like. What I want to do is I want to show you by raising this light. So let's go up about, it doesn't have to go much, but let's say about 8 inches. Right about there. And show you what the difference is. Okay, here we go again. So immediately the shadows start to get darker. And again, based on what you like as an artist and what sort of the vision that you have, you can now adjust the light accordingly. So let's go and I can increase the shadows, and I also can bounce back some light back in, and it'll soften the shadows, but they're still there. So here we go again. So that's with a bounce. And actually that looks amazing. So it's really a combination of sort of raising and lowering the light, filling it up a little bit, that kind of gets you the look. This really, your cheeks are amazingly hollowed right there. And a lot of women like that. That's kind of like one of those things women like their cheeks hollowed. But let's try that again there. See, that's way too shadowy for me. Let's try another one. So give me that little smile again. Okay. All right, so let's do this. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna lower it down and then put the fill on and show you what that looks like. So we'll do it back down here. So this is without the fill. Okay, give me that little smile again. Okay, so that's pretty good. So let's do a fill on that. Here, right there. So now you can see the difference, and it's absolutely beautiful. So now what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna back up so we get the natural vignette to start to show up on the wall. Okay, so Jessica, what I'm gonna do is let's lower this just a little bit. Right about there, because I've lowered my camera. So what I normally do is if I lower my camera, I lower the light with it. And that keeps the shadows constant. All right, here we go. Okay, that looks great. Do both arms up. Remember you had like that? I love to kind of set that up right there. Okay, that looks really good. Okay, so let's take a look at that with the fill card. And so this is what I do all the time. I just kind of add one bounce into the scene and then do that little shoulder up sexy thing like you did. Beautiful. I love it. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna back up even more. So let's take and go vertical. I'm gonna drop my lens down, back up a little bit here. And again, I shoot a lot with a 24mm, and so I have to make sure though that I'm kind of at the right angle, otherwise it'll start to distort. So I'm going to lower this just a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to go just below the dress line. Focus. Now I've got to lower my light down a little bit, just a little bit. I got to make sure I'm clear here. Try to go a little bit more. Right there. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, right there. Beautiful. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I've got a little bit of this showing up in it, so I got to lower it down just a tad right there. And you can see the natural vignette taking place. I'm set at 24 millimeter here. So you might say, how is it possible to shoot a 24 millimeter this close to a model? So let's try this. See if I can get this in just a little bit. Not get much. That'll bounce. Oops, it showed up. Let's try that again. And you can see my assistant's not doing a very good job holding this thing. Do that again. Lean your shoulders against the wall again. Right there. Ready? 1, 2. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. That is absolutely gorgeous. Okay. Now let's try with that again. We'll just fire a few off here. See, so I'm waiting for Jessica to kind of just get to her position and I fire. I just keep going. Beautiful. All right, so there you have it. Really, it's that simple. And this is probably, like I said, about as easy as you can get in terms of doing a beauty shot. Of course, you have to have a nice model. But I do have the obviously the diffusion on here. If you take the diffusion off, it will be just a little bit harder, a little bit harsher light. Now, if I back this light up, let's just do one more thing. If I back this light up, let's just try this, give you guys an idea. That is about, I would say, 2 feet away. So if we back this up, raise it a little bit, I'm going to have to increase my power a little bit. And I'm going to show you how it gets a little harsher. It's also going to spread the light a little bit. So I'm still a little dark. Let's go to the next, up just a little bit more. Okay, let's try it again. So this is a little harsher. You'll see that the edge from the shadow to on her skin is going to be harsher. It's a quicker, faster fall off than it was when it was 2 feet. So we're about what? Maybe 4 feet away. So I've basically doubled the distance. So it gets a little harsher, a little harsher. So if I back this up, say, 15, 20 feet, it's going to be even harsher. So that'll give you an idea of sort of how you can manipulate this light. One light process. If you shoot on a white wall, you're going to get a little bit of bounce back around. We talked about that in another episode. Get a little bit of bounce back on her skin, her shoulders, and her face. So that's an option too if you shoot a white wall. So there you have it, very simple, and try this at home. All right, so what I want you guys to do as a homework assignment, if you're interested in trying this technique with the beauty dish, is to obviously, I would recommend doing again some kind of wall, and you can actually, in a lot of homes, you have just a bare white wall, which would be perfect to just have a model lean up against. If you don't have a beauty dish, keep in mind that you can use a modifier that, let's say, a small umbrella. Now, small umbrella will be a little bit harsher, but you can also manipulate that to get the softness you need. So you don't have to have a beauty dish. A beauty dish is actually pretty easy to use. So I would recommend that. And these are not that expensive. So, but try that with the beauty dish. Move it up and down a little bit to play with the shadow under the nose, and the chin and the eyes. And that way you get a sense of exactly what's happening. I think that the key to any lighting technique is to understand that even like 2 to 3 inches can in fact change the overall mood of the final image.
Special thanks to FJ Westcott for keeping this episode lit up. Like the music? Special thanks to Triple Scoop Music. Frame Network giveaways are brought to you by B&H. Head to giveaways.framenetwork.com for your chance to win. Find out more about the equipment used in this episode on framenetwork.com.